Jeremy, thank you for coming today. It's a pleasure to be in the nice city of Portland, Oregon, my first time, but here to talk about Salesforce, here to talk about CRM integrations. I know you're just getting started. If you mind diving in on your background a little bit, we'll start there.
Yeah, my name is Jeremy Steinbring. I'm the founder of Ravonics, and we really specialize in helping fast growth companies realize the power of RevOps. And not just RevOps, their systems, their strategy, and aligning those people. And so we started the company in January of this past year. It's been an absolute blessing to be a business owner. I think there's a really exciting time for the world that we live in. And I'm really excited for 2024.
Do you mind defining RevOps for me? I
Yeah.
think that's a term that can be confusing, but you know best.
Well, I think this is something that a lot of people, Google. They're like, what is this RevOps thing?
Right.
And I think the easiest way to answer that is what it's not. RevOps is not a systems admin or a systems team. RevOps is not another name for sales operations. RevOps is a philosophy, and it's about aligning the core go-to-market teams and the strategy to drive revenue. And so I define it as bringing together marketing, sales, customer success, and product. I know other people might think product is kind of separate, but the product drives so much of what customers see and what they feel, and the relationship that with your business. And so I really see them as those four pillars.
Yeah.
And I think, like I mentioned, it's not just about the systems. It starts with the strategy. And that's always aligned around the customer journey and how your customer interacts with your business at every milestone along the way.
Yeah. When you engage a customer for the first time, you mentioned the multiple department heads. Is there a typical playbook you start to run as you meet, maybe recommend software? How does it look? How does the process actually play out?
The first thing is you need alignment across leaderships. They need to understand what RevOps is, and they need to buy it.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the struggle. A lot of people think it's just, when we get someone here to get the systems working together, we get a sales ops person in here. The problem is we've already kind of lost. Like, we have to know, and we have to all have executive buy-in from every single department, because it's really them working together. That's what makes the difference. That's when RevOps really sings and does well. So usually it's about first defining what RevOps is, the role that we play with our customers, how we're going to help them build their RevOps strategy, build their RevOps team, and how we execute on that strategy too. I mean, part of what we do is it's not just about setting up Salesforce, setting up Match My Email. It's about understanding the strategy, understanding the journey, how the customers interact with your company, and then realizing that in the technology. And so it's about learning your business, asking good discovery questions, understanding what goals you have, where you want to be. I mean, so few businesses are, they've hit their goal and they are where they are, they're not going to grow anymore. So it's about understanding where you are, the obstacles that you have in front of you, and then also where you want to go, and help them realize that vision and help them get there.
You mentioned the obstacles. Mm-hmm. What are some common obstacles that you're hearing from new customers on a day-to-day?
User adoption and tool fatigue is definitely something, especially from the system side, really where I live, and most of my background's been in, it's complicated. And a lot of times these complicated tools aren't pulled together the way they should be. And that has ripple effects all across the org. From your SDR who's calling all day, just trying to add notes, who's trying to generate new business, error messages, not understanding where to go to put information, not understanding where that lives. There's no sales engagement, and they have this love-hate relationship with their CRM and their systems. And so I think systems are hated because they don't support the process, they don't support the customer journey, they don't support the people actually doing the work. And so I see most of our customers coming to us saying, there's an area of improvement here. And that's where it starts. We need to understand what they're doing, what their goals are. Forget technology first. Once you have that laid out and everyone has buy-in to this RevOps philosophy, it's very easy then to pick the right tools, integrate the right tools. The clicking of the buttons is the easy part.
Yeah.
It's the aligning teams and making sure everyone's on the same page. That's the difficult part.
Drilling down into user adoption and automation,
Mm-hmm.
how do you see those two go hand in hand? You said the clicking of the buttons is the easy part.
Yeah.
Could be even easier not to click at all. But what do you see on the ground?
I mean, I think there's a bunch of really key things that are essentially busy work. Those are great to be automated. Email activity capture is really important. Calendaring.
Yeah.
The worst thing in the world is to write a long email, take 5-10 minutes to write it, have to copy and paste it into your CRM.
Right.
Like that. Those are simple things that just take time that can help make improvements. And so those are the things that we want to try to automate. I also think that there are things to automate and integrate, like your other tech stack tools. And just to try to keep the data clean. Whether it's your marketing tool like HubSpot or Marketo, adding technographic data, whether it's like Zoom Info or Apollo, enriching information, and all of that should be done at scale using automation. Absolutely.
With the activity capture side of things, can you speak a little bit on what you've seen with Salesforce versus HubSpot, how your clients are approaching that issue?
So this is something that has been a problem for just about every client of mine. There are a handful of ways to do this out of the box for free, the main being Einstein activity capture for Salesforce. And so it's a huge obstacle because of the limitations of the product. And for those who don't know, and I know you know well, Einstein activity capture, it is almost like an alias. So the message that you send, the calendar event that you have, it syncs to Salesforce to the right record. However, it's only there for 6 months before it goes away. The record doesn't actually live in Salesforce, and so it's not reportable. So if you were to try to run an activity report, say I was a sales leader and I wanted to say, who's been the most productive SDR or salesperson? I can't report on it. If I can't report on it, it didn't really happen. And so it's really aggravating for people who are using those out-of-the-box tools that now can't report. And so there are some paid tools that Salesforce offers through Salesforce Inbox. But I think it's just a grab to try to get more licenses because you need Einstein analytics in order to report on it. So it's a whole different product. And all we're trying to do, especially customers that I work with, can we just sync our email?
Yeah.
So I can look at a record and find the email that I just sent. It's that simple. And I think what I love about Match My Email so much is that it's easy to integrate. It's seamless. It actually works. I mean, let's be honest. I've been exposed to a lot of SaaS products previously, and the uptime, the product actually doing what it says. There are a lot of other systems out there that add activity capture as like and would you like fries with that type of right? It's like we do it, but it's not really our core function.
Right.
You guys do it fantastic because it's what you focus on. Right, and it works every single time.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I also like Match My Email is you give the user the ability to troubleshoot themselves.
Yeah.
As an admin previously, obviously we help our customers with executing tools and managing the tools. If an email doesn't sync or a calendar sync issue, I'm sure we've all been through those before. It takes someone like me time to go investigate.
Right.
But with Match My Email, users can go in and troubleshoot themselves. And to enable users that, it limits the friction, it helps with user adoption. And so that's one of the things I've really loved about Match My Email for sure.
Thank you for the kind words. I think one of the keys that you're focusing on, not just with Match My Email, but with Salesforce, with HubSpot, you as a consultant making these decisions with business leaders, is simplicity, right? How important is simplicity when you're speaking to your customers?
I think we can get over our skis at times with, I call it silver bullets, right? They're tools or the shiny objects that we Google when we have a problem. First thing that pops up is a tool that solves that problem. When you jump on a demo, everything's going to be seamless. It's going to integrate perfect. Everything's going to be fine. The data is going to sync seamlessly. Yeah. You start implementing it in a nightmare. And I think people need to realize that you don't need to automate and integrate 100% of every business use case that you have today.
Do you find that there are major shortcomings with Salesforce? If you could, wave your magic wand and resolve one Salesforce issue, what would that be?
Yeah, I think hands down, it's usability.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a broad, usability. Like, what does that mean? I think it's where HubSpot and Salesforce's competitors are winning. they're winning on simplicity, and they're winning on user adoption. If people like using your tool, they're going to keep your tool longer. And I think the problem is Salesforce is so customizable that when you put it in the hands of folks that have never done it before, or if you're doing it yourself, or you're relying on a detached consultant who doesn't understand your business, you're never going to end up in a place where you feel comfortable working in the tool. And so I think where HubSpot is really winning is using AI. They just acquired Clearbit, so they're going to start enriching data to make better decisions, so use that data to help businesses make better decisions. And I think usability is like the number one thing. In fact, with the 2024 spring release, there are some things that make it easier for sales reps specifically to manage their day. So there are specific features that they're releasing for that. And so I think they notice it too. And they need to, also having like an enterprise level customizable CRM that you could deploy at a 50,000 person company. The small business that is growing, it's really hard to adopt Salesforce and do it right.
Talking a little bit about the 24 release, some of the new features. Yeah. Excited for anything on the horizon? What are you looking forward to with Salesforce's growth and development?
Salesforce is a fantastic company. I think they have a fantastic product. I think it's misunderstood. Frankly, I just feel like people that don't have the technical knowledge are making technical decisions, and that's where you run into trouble. I think the tool itself is fantastic, especially, for those who are potentially looking at Salesforce versus HubSpot and what's right for them. There are huge advantages around automation.
Yep.
There are also huge advantages around customizing object architecture, relating specific objects. Like what you can do in Salesforce is miles ahead of what HubSpot can do out of the box. Now, HubSpot is making a lot of leaps and bounds, and obviously with custom development you can do a lot, but just someone who's implemented both and who is certified in both, I definitely see Salesforce automation is just huge. And in fact, a lot of customers that have excess tools that they want to get rid of, we're able to build 80 to 85% of that functionality in Salesforce because it has the flexibility to do it. So they save, that $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 annually for their license count for buying SaaS and utilize Salesforce. You're just more limited in HubSpot. So again, it's not necessarily that one is better than the other. It's just which one is right for you. And your journey is going to change. Now you might be a 50-person company. 5 years from now, you might be a 300-person company. You need something different. So we have to be adaptable.
On that line, I would end with one question for you. Where do you see Revonics going in the future? What's the goal? 50-person to 500, or how do you plan on seeing your growth develop?
Listen, we want to scale smart.
Yep.
And I think one of the things separate from this conversation is I've had nearly 10 years in SaaS and tech. The biggest mistake that I see every company does is scaling way too quickly.
Right.
And you scale and the children become the babysitters. And frankly, and not every company is like this. This is a generalization, but I worked for a very well-known tech unicorn, and they were hiring 50 people a month at a clip.
Yep.
And they didn't have enough leaders who knew how to lead and who had that skill set. And so you ended up promoting 21-year-olds with very little work experience and now sitting there in director positions. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Right. So as far as Revonics goes, I want to scale sustainably.
Yeah.
Culture is really, really important to me.
Yeah.
Making sure we don't burn our people out. It's incredibly important. And it's really about trying to create opportunity for people to spend more time with their kids, their family. And so money is important. Yeah, sure. We're all out here to make money, but trying to build a business that's for the people that work for it is really important. So whatever decisions we need to make, that's going to be our North Star for sure.
I love that. And I think as a business match, my email aligns a lot with what you're saying. So it's been a real pleasure speaking with you. You're a wealth of knowledge, and I know that I'll continue to learn from you down the line. But thank you for joining us.
Totally. Thank you, Sam.
Absolutely.